Hey guys, Chrono here, bringing you a Domain Monarchs budget-friendly deck. This is by far one of my favorite decks that I've ever played in Yu-Gi-Oh! When my son and I first started to get into the game, trying to play competitively, uh, we ended up really enjoying this deck because it played so much like old school Yu-Gi-Oh! With so many decks moving so fast, requiring an extra deck, we really liked that we could honestly buy just three structure decks at the time, put it together, and we had an extremely competitive build. Now, what I've ended up doing though, over time, is one of the things I was worried about was deck consistency. Many times you'll hear Monarch players complain that their builds will brick often. And one of the things I'm going to show you today is that my build may brick, but it doesn't do it nearly as much as the other builds that I've seen. And so I hope you guys enjoy it, and let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the cards now. Of course, you have to have one ether. The card's really good. Very necessary for lots of combos, especially getting prime to your graveyard. With that too, I play 3 Ubris. This card is also huge for getting prime to the grave. And also, him just being in the grave is actually really helpful. And I'll explain more of that later. Also, this is good for making sure your opponent goes one card down. Really, really great card. Okay. Next, we've got one Zaborg, the Mega Monarch. I'm really considering moving this to 2. And one of the reasons that I'm thinking that way is this card blows up your opponent's extra deck. So let's say they're playing Pendulum Magician. If you end up destroying it by using its own effect against itself, notice that this card is 8 stars. It has a bonus effect that you get to send 8 cards to the grave then from your opponent's extra deck if you use this card, for example. And you get to choose what those cards are that they send to the grave. That could be the difference between winning a duel and not. So this card is really good. I've had a lot of success with it. Awesome $2 card. Okay. I play one Caius the Mega Monarch. This is the most expensive card in the deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has become very much, instead of destroying cards, banishing cards. So if you have the opportunity to banish your opponent's cards, which this one does, and he can, if you tribute a Dark Monster, it's actually 2 cards that you can banish. I think that's why his price has gone up so much, because he was $4 or $5, and now he's currently around 8. But I have seen even on some sites 15. So this card is definitely the most expensive one at the time of the making of this video. Okay, this is the hero card of the deck, one of them. I can't believe more people are not playing Vanity's Ruler. Most people I see play Vanity's Fiend, which I do too, but I think Vanity's Ruler is better, and here's why. It can't be special summoned, but when you tribute summon this card, and it's on the field, your opponent can't special summon, but you still can. That to me makes this way better than Vanity's Fiend, and it works extremely well with the synergy of this deck. So this card is awesome. I've won several duels by just having this on the field because my opponent can't special summon. They're forced just to normal summon, set, or tribute, and most decks don't work that way these days. Really great card. And it's cheap. It's less than $1. 2 Karaz. This card is great, especially for a lot of combos that you're going to be doing. Definitely have to have 2 of these. Like I said, only one Vanity's Fiend. The only advantage this one has over Vanity's Ruler, it's 2 stars less. So really, which isn't that big of a deal with this deck. But it helps with consistency. Okay, then I play 3 Idia. This card is really good. You have to have this for this deck in order for it to function. because this card then leads to 3 Edios, the Underworld Squire, which gives you an extra summon so that you can get your tribute summons combos going. Really, really great deck. So that's all the monsters. Very basic. Let me go ahead and go into the spells now. I play 3 Tenacity. Great card. Just reveal a Monarch, you get a Monarch spell or trap card to the hand. Really, really awesome. This card is huge for locking out your opponent, so Domain of the True Monarchs. If you're not sure how this works, as long as you control a tributed summoned monster, your opponent cannot special summon any cards from the extra deck. But you can't control any either, so that's why this is known as Domain Monarchs. 1 Panthesium, great for draw, really great also to get other cards out from your deck to your hand. 1 the Monarch Stormforth. This card's awesome. I was sad when they limited it to 1, just because this card does not target, so you could literally get rid of anything your opponent had, unless it actually said cannot be tribute summoned. Really, really great card. 2 March. Now, I'm shocked more people don't play March of the Monarchs, and the reason why, your opponent's tribute summoned, or your monsters that are tribute summoned, can't be targeted by card effects, and you can't be destroyed by card effects. This is a really great card. I'm shocked more people don't run this. And then I got 1 return. So 1 return to get cards to my hand if I need to. I really don't use this that often. It's okay. 1 reinforcement of the army so that you can get Edia to your hand. 1 Foolish Burial for Eberus because he's just so good in the grave. 1 Twin Twister. And then we got a bunch of draw power. So we've got 1 Upstart, 1 Day of Peace, and 3 trade-ins. Now, a lot of people are surprised by the trade-ins when I compete at locals, and the reason it works so well, this stops the bricking from being bad, because you send stuff to the grave, but because Uberus is in there usually, you can get them out. So this helps a lot, and that's why I also run mostly 8-star Monarchs. Now for the traps, of course your staples, 3 primes. You have to have this card. It's super good. And also, I think a lot of people underestimate that it, usually they just send it to the grave, which is the right play. But you can also use it for draw power, and this recycles cards that you really need, like the Monarch Stormforth, Panthesium. There's lots of recycling that can happen that also gives you a draw. So this card is super good. Really is underutilized. And then again, for draw, 2 Reckless Greeds. Now, I've actually had people say to me, oh my goodness, that's 7 draw cards, if not more, in your deck. Yeah, if you're going to play Monarchs, you got to do that. There's times where people are wondering if I would outdeck myself because the deck moves just that fast, which I can actually show you here in a few combo plays, but it's necessary. That way you're not bricking, and you really don't even have to run something like Desires. These other draw cards are definitely enough to do it. So let me go ahead and show you some ways that you can interact with the deck now, and that's where we'll go to next. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and show you how this deck works. You always want to go first with this deck. It's very crucial to what you're doing. All right, so right away, I have an excellent hand here. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to play Domain. Domain is absolutely excellent because this is going to lock my opponent out of their extra deck. And so to make this happen though, first I'm going to normal summon the Edios, Edia, the Heavenly Squire, And then his effect kicks off, which then special summons from the deck Edios, the Underworld Squire. Now what's great about him, he actually gives a second effect automatically, which is that you get a second normal summon this turn. So really great card. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use Domain's effect, and I'm going to reduce this Monarch here by 2 stars, making it require only 1 tribute. I'm purposefully going to tribute him, and then that comes out to the field. When he hits the field, his effect kicks off. What his effect does, that allows me then to send 2 Monarch spell cards. You always want to send a prime, because that card is just too good. And then you're also going to want to send Panthesium, which is this card here. Now this card's great because you can banish it and then make your opponent choose 1 Monarch spell or trap card that you want to your hand. So I'm going to banish it, and when I banish it, I'm just going to put it up there. What I typically like to make my opponent choose are options that I really like. So they can go ahead and give me the Monarch Storm, or the March of the Monarchs, or Tenacity of the Monarch. And so they're going to have to figure out which one they want to give me. Many times, if they're playing it the right way, they're just going to make me choose the Tenacity, because they don't know that I have a Monarch in the hand, which is the right play, because what if I didn't? But I do, so I reveal it, and then and then I play Tenacity. Tenacity then goes to the grave, and then that gives me my March to the hand. I play March, and now my opponent is really, really in a bad situation here. Now, something else that I forgot to mention, though, is that when Ether hits the field, I should have gotten a special summon with him, and so that Monarch should have hit the field. And one of the Monarchs that I really like to have in my hand right away is him, because if they find a way to get rid of my Monarchs, they can use their extra deck again. But if I have a way that I can take theirs out, all the better. Okay, so then that would be turn 1, and what a great turn. I mean, look at that. I'm protected now from card effects by March, or at least I can't be targeted or destroyed by them. I've locked out my opponent from their extra deck with Domain. That's going to come to my hand, so if I want to use its effect, I can on the next turn. Just so many great plays that end up happening here. So that's turn 1. Let's see what I get if I mix it up and try it again. Okay, so this time now I'm going to go ahead and try this again. So here we go. I'm going to draw my 5. Okay, very nice. Very nice. Okay, so if you take a look here, that's what I ended up getting to the hand. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to play Trade In. And the reason I want to send, and the card I want to send is this one right here, Ibris. And the reason why, if he's in the graveyard, as long as he's there, all you have to do is ditch a Monarch spell or trap card, and you can grab any Monarch from the grave and then use it again. So this card is extremely useful in the grave. That's one of the reasons why I play the Foolish Burial. He's just really great to have in there to start the duel. So that allows me to draw 2. So I'm going to draw my 2. Oh, that is beautiful. Okay, so notice what I got here. I got Reckless, and then I got Ether. Okay, so really good right away. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to normal summon Edia, the Heavenly Squire. His effect goes off, which then allows me to special summon Edios, the Underworld Squire, and I get to special summon him in defense. Now his effect goes off right away, which allows me another normal summon this turn, which is awesome. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and tribute summon now. So I tribute both, and then Ether hits the field. Now when he hits the field, his effect triggers, and what I'm going to send is, of course, just like I showed you before, Prime. So Prime goes to the grave. And then I'm also going to send the Panthesium. So Panthesium also goes. Now, I'm gonna banish the Panthesium from my graveyard, and what I'm gonna force my opponent to give me is I'm just gonna lay 3 domains out because I want them locked out of their extra deck. So the 3 domains are gonna be there. Okay, so they're gonna have to give me one. So one of those is gonna come to my hand, and then I shuffle my deck again. And this deck moves so fast. It's super, super fun to play for that reason. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my filled spell. Okay, so, and because I have limited space, of course, that should go 1 space over. And then after that, I'm gonna set both, or actually I should have special summoned, sorry, Karaz to the field. And I am not activating his effect. I am saving that for the next turn. So Karaz hits the field, and like I said, I'm going to set both Reckless Greeds, and then end phase, this comes back to my hand. Now, assuming everything on the board flies, they don't hit my Recklesses, I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to draw. Now, when I end up drawing here, okay, so I got another Monarch, okay, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to banish from my grave Edios. Now, when he's banished, what ends up happening, I get to special summon Edia to the field, and then his effect goes off, which is going to give me Edios. And then this gives me 2 normal summons this turn, which is just awesome. Okay, so then the deck is shuffled. Now here's one of the best combo plays. I go ahead and I tribute 1 card. I'm going to activate Karaz's effect. I'm going to target both of these, but I'm going to chain them at the same time. So this will be chain link, so this is the effect, chain link 1, chain link 2. And then his effect is I get to draw for every card destroyed. I get 6 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is ridiculous. Okay, so yes, I don't get my draw phase for 2 turns, but who cares? Not when you've got that kind of situation. Okay, so oh yeah, now I'm in really good shape here. So now I'm going to play Tenacity. I go ahead and reveal one of the Monarchs in my hand. And then with Tenacity, I'm going to grab March now. And the reason I want March on the field is because now they can't target my Monarchs with card effects, and they can't be destroyed by card effects, so I don't have to worry about traps in the back row unless they banish, and there aren't very many cards that actually do that. So that's really good. Okay, so then what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to set the Prime Monarch, and the reason why, I'm actually going to get another draw on my next turn by activating that. And then to really seal the deal, I'm going to go ahead and tribute 2 for Vanities. They are completely locked out now by special summoning any monsters. The only thing they can do is normal summon or set or tribute. That's it. That's all they've got. And so notice that's in 2 turns here that I've done that. And so I'm going to go ahead and active. Oh, and also there's a chain link here because when Edea goes to the grave, the Pantheism, which was banished, comes back to my hand. So that is a huge play. So again, I'm going to get a draw on my next turn more than likely if I want it, which is absolutely awesome. So the grave is loaded. I feel good to attack, so I go ahead and attack, and then I attack again, and they're really in bad shape here. So that's one of the other combos that you can do. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what happens if we mix them up and try it again. So I go ahead and I draw my 5. Okay, and not great here. Okay, so as you can see, I've got some options, but it's not fantastic. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and play my upstart. So I play upstart, and I draw a card. Really not the kind of help that I was looking for, but that's okay. All right, so then that's going to go there. All right, the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and play Pantheism, and I'm actually going to go ahead and ditch the March because I have another copy. All right, and then that allows me to draw 2. Oh, good. So reinforcement of the army, and then the Prime Monarch. Okay, so not bad at all. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and banish Pantheism. And again, forcing my opponent to give me something. So I'm going to have them choose return. I already have a domain in the hand. March or Stormforth. So really good situation here. If I were to guess what they were going to give me there, it'd be the return. So, which is fine. So I'll gladly take the return. Okay, so I then mix up my deck. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I've got the return in hand. I'm going to go ahead and play Reinforcement of the Army, and that gives me Edea. As you can see, he's a warrior monster. So then that goes to the grave. And notice I banished the Pantheism before I played the Edea, just because I want that back in my hand. That's your way of recycling Pantheism, which makes this deck very consistent because of that. So again, I shuffle. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play Tenacity, and I'm going to go ahead and reveal the Monarch that I have in hand. That goes to the grave, and then I go ahead and I grab my Monarch Stormforth. Okay, so there's the Monarch Stormforth, and then again the deck is shuffled. So again, notice this is just going extremely well first turn. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and play March, and then I'm going to play Return, and then I'm going to go ahead and play Domain. Again, it should be 1 over, but due to camera space. Normal summon the effect. That's going to go ahead and special summon Edios to the field. Edios' effect goes off, which allows me then to get another normal summon this turn. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and tribute, and I'm going to go ahead and tribute, or actually I'm going to use Domain's effect first to reduce him to 6 stars. Then I'm going to tribute, because I only have to get rid of 1 card that way. And then I'm not going to activate his effect, because it's turn 1, but Return's effect will activate. And so that activates to give me a Monarch to the hand. And the one that I'm going to go ahead and grab is right here. So I'm going to grab Ether, or Ubris, sorry. And then Chainlink 2, because Edia went to the grave, I then get Panthesium back to the hand. And then if I want to, because I actually have quite a bit in the grave here, yeah. So then I can also set one of my primes, and then that will give me another draw after this turn. So notice I got a Monarch to the hand, they can't target my Monarch, and they're locked out of their extra deck. That is a fantastic turn. So notice that is 3 different hands I've shown you, and there is consistency to this deck. Does it brick? Yes. Does it brick as often with this build that I've made? I don't think that it does. And remember, if the under $50 or around $50 is too expensive for you, you can substitute this guy out for the regular Caius. Caius, I think it's the Dark Monarch, and he's only 20 cents. So you could easily substitute this out, and then that gets you to around $40 for this build. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Please let me know what you think in the comments. What are some things I could do differently, ideas you have, or just what you think in general. And I'll talk to you guys next time.